I'm honestly very glad that I did not have parents that treated me like I was the second coming of the Messiah. They bashed me accordingly, with a baseball bat, and I really thank them for the person that I am today. I cannot say the same thing about these parents. Welcome to r/entitled parents. There's just gonna be a lot of reading involved and whatnot, so you can just put this on in the background and whatnot as you play RuneScape if you're like 25 years old and you're just now getting back into RuneScape, for like the 5 people that actually continue to play RuneScape. And with that being said, let's begin our journey. The time entitled aunt took over my parents' house. Okay, that already sounds pretty bad, but let's just see how well this goes. I'm back with another story about my aunt and her shameless entitlement. The event of the story occurred in 1982, a year before I was born. My dad told me all about it some time ago. My parents had recently gotten married. My cousin, aunt's son, was 6 at the time, and my uncle had recently lost his job. My grandmother insisted that my dad support his sister in time of need. This meant letting my aunt and cousin move in until my uncle could find a job. Uncle, too, of course, would be welcomed whenever he decided to show up. My parents' house only had 2 bedrooms. One was occupied by my grandmonster, the other by my parents. Here in India, it's customary for elderly parents to live with their adult sons. She insisted that my parents give up their bedroom to aunt and cousin, because she couldn't imagine her little girl having to sleep in the living room. My dad didn't want to upset his mother, and he agreed. And just as a little side note, I read all of the grammatical errors because it's funny. My aunt and cousin stayed over for a month, and my uncle too would come over on the weekends. Grand Monster insisted that my mother cook for them whenever they demanded. Okay, so Grand Monster isn't a typo. So my mom would come home from work and would cook 3 different meals. 1 in accordance with my cousin, 1 according to my aunt's preference, and a 3rd for herself, my dad, and Grand Monster. On the weekends, when my uncle came over, his preference would have to be catered to as well. But were they ever grateful? Hell no! They felt perfectly entitled to boss my mom around and find faults in her efforts to make them comfortable. Nothing she ever did for them was good enough. Aunt and Grand Monster would constantly criticize her cooking and housekeeping skills. When my dad did his share of housework, they mocked him for being henpecked. Almost every other day, my aunt would invite her friends over and they stayed for hours. And my mom would have to cook refreshments for them as well. Anytime my mom wanted to invite her friends over, my Grand Monster would put on a scowl that could suck the soul off a Dementor. But my aunt's friends were welcome, of course. The one time my dad did put his foot down was when aunt wanted to invite a friend of hers to stay for the weekend. Interestingly, my uncle's sister, i.e. aunt's sister-in-law, found aunt and uncle's behavior to be quite inappropriate. She visited once and clearly didn't like the way that my mother was being treated. She was a strong, no-nonsense kind of woman and called out my aunt for not being grateful for the way my mom and dad were putting up with her, and told her she should stop being a burden and should help out with the housework. My dad tells me that the concern an outsider has shown for her well-being that should have been expected from family members brought tears to my mom's eyes. My aunt cried over this too, but for entirely different reasons. She bitched to my Grand Monster that my parents had made her look bad in front of her husband's sister. My Grand Monster reprimanded my parents for making her cry, and my mom ended up apologizing to my aunt just to keep the peace. It turns my stomach when I think about this. Finally, my uncle found a new source of income, and aunt and cousin moved back in with him. But not before they took my parents' TV with them. Back then, televisions were a novelty for middle-class households in India. My aunt and uncle didn't have one. My mom and dad had just bought theirs. My Grand Monster made my parents give up their television to my aunt because they'd been through such a tough time, and they'd give it back once they could afford to buy their own. Needless to say, the TV was never returned. Yikes, that is a big old yikes from me. God, I miss this subreddit, but also at the same time, Not. Entitled parent calls the cops because I am in my garden. Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. EP is entitled parent. I don't remember whether male or female. F1 is friend 1, F2 is friend 2, and B is younger brother. So a while ago, our family had a few friends over for a barbecue. I was 12 at the time, so I was happy that their children, F1 and F2, were the same age as B and me. We had a pretty big garden, so we played tag, hide and seek, etc. Eventually we start throwing water balloons and play with any water we can find. Naturally, we are screaming and shouting because we are having fun, not because of hypothermia. We play for a short time until we hear EP shouting from over the hedge. Shut the f up! We laugh about it, but we take no further notice. We just assume they aren't talking to us. We continue playing until we hear him yell again. Shut the f up and go home! We didn't know what to do, so we asked our parents. They said, it's our garden, so we should just be allowed to do what we want. Right? Anyway, the EP continues to yell some things I would rather not type, but it was along the lines of, shut up, I'm playing a card game with my kid. I understood that he wants some peace and quiet, so we play quieter. After another minute, we hear EP yell again. I'm calling the cops! At this point, our parents heard and went over to pay them a little visit. After a few minutes of procrastination, the EP did call the cops, who were incredibly helpful, and just said the same thing. Their garden, their rules. TLDR, neighbor EP calls the cops because we make noise in our backyard. That's pretty stupid on their behalf. And also because I'm reading through the short stories, we're able to just fire through them pretty quickly. Entitled parent screams at me for taking an empty spot. Okay, so short story, but it will be detailed. Please no negativity to other users, since others want to complain about me not handling negativity. I can take it, but I don't want any on this post, since there is a chance that it may get conflicted onto others. If you have something to say to me, then PM me. Sorry if my grammar is not good. It's okay because grammatical errors are funny. This happened yesterday afternoon. I, 21-year-old female, was on my way to the store. I'm still a student driver, and my boyfriend, 24-year-old male, who is a licensed driver for 5 years, said to park in the Walmart parking lot. When I pulled into a parking spot, a lady stopped behind us and trapped us in. Me and my boyfriend are sitting in his car as I'm thinking, what the f? As she gets out of her car with her 12-year-old and screams for me to get out of her spot. My boyfriend just laughs, which really surprised me. He's never laughed at this kind of thing. That ended when she hit his car, slamming her hands and kicking. My boyfriend stopped laughing and became irate. I told him to let me handle it, so I called out and called her a brat for pouting over a spot and that I'm trying to learn how to properly drive. She continued to scream and I'm getting angry. Suddenly, God sent an angel in the form of an officer. I explained what was going on. I was preparing for my driver's exam, lady confronted me, etc. IDs were checked and me and my boyfriend are cleared. The lady started saying that I was breaking the law by driving without a license. The officer told her to go or she would be arrested. While the lady was arguing with the officer, the 12-year-old apologized on her mother's behalf. I accepted it. Moments later, the child and mother got in their car and left. I apologized that he had to go through that, and he wished me luck on my driver's exam. Perhaps can be good. Not all are bad, thankfully. That is really petty. Not sponsored beverage. Entitled mom thinks a service dog will attack her son. Okay, I'm gonna start with the usual. I'm on mobile, sorry for spelling mistakes, etc. I shouldn't have to say this again. It's funny. Don't worry about that. Characters, EM entitled mother, D, EM's daughter, and M, my mom. You obviously know who me is. For context, my little brother has an epilepsy. So in February, we got him a service dog. Yay! We were traveling, so my mom, brothers, dog, and I all went to Popeyes in New Jersey. Oh, I'm sorry, it's New Jersey. My older brother wanted Burger King. It was a rest stop, so he went and got in line. Cue entitled mother. While we were standing in line, this woman and her 2 kids, one who looked about 20 and the other about 15, turned around and started saying how we should get away from her son and
Your dog is vicious.
My mom was, of course, confused. What?
Your dog is vicious. Get it away from my son.
Oh no, he's a service dog. He's really friendly.
No, he's vicious. It says do not pet. Get it away from my son.
Mom, calm down. He's a service dog.
The EM huffs and gets her Popeyes. We thought we were done, but no. After we finished eating, we were about to leave when this Popeyes waitress walks by us, sees my dog, and tries to feed him fried chicken. We promptly left after that. TLDR, an entitled mom freaks out at a service dog, then a waitress tries to feed my dog fried chicken. And for those of you who are not dog owners, in which case, welcome to my club. But secondly, fried chicken is not safe or healthy for dogs. It can lead to weight gain, which contributes to a number of other health problems. The cooked bones on the chicken also pose a serious risk to your pup and should not be given to them. So basically, fried chicken is dangerous for dogs. So do not give your dog a piece of fried chicken. And with that little tidbit of advice, I think I'm gonna go. This was fun. It was just like rapid fire through a bunch of short stories and, losing my faith in humanity because these people are out here walking and breathing the same exact air as we are. I'd rather get the fast pass so that I can travel to Mars so that I won't have to encounter these people anymore. But that is just me. I probably wouldn't really do too well in, space. But what did you guys think about this subreddit? Let me know down below and let me know what other subreddits I should probably do. And with that, I will see you all later. Peace, everybody.